So, when it comes to downforce, we know that if we look at Formula 1, Lotus with their first ground effect Formula 1 car, that more is better. Except if you're in automation, apparently trying to make a car for BeamNG. Yeah, that didn't work out so well for me. But there's other ways of doing this. You don't have to think more. You could just think smarter. Alright, here's the thing. A lightweight car will be affected by downforce a hell of a lot more than a heavy car. So why don't we make a lightweight mid-engine car, then put an acceptable amount of downforce on it. This is where this thing comes into, and if you're wondering why I'm not doing a build video with this, I did. I've had 2 botched recordings today. This is the 3rd time I'm recording a video. I'm going to lose my goddamn mind! So instead, I'll just run you through this car. Now, I chose a really old body because it's the shortest wheelbase car that we can have mid-engine in. And then I gave it kind of like a really cool body work here. Oh, it was such a good video. You guys would have loved it. I hate my life. Anyway, let's move along. Then we've got the engine in here. We've got a lovely 542 kilowatts. If you're working in old numbers, well, that comes out to be about 730-ish horsepower. That's a lot of power to run through a 2-meter long body. You may also notice that this is quite stressed out, and I don't care. This is a time attack one and done. You can think of it like the old Formula 1 car engines, where the engines were really only designed to run for a couple of laps in qualifying, and then they had a lesser engine to last the whole race. That's what we're going for here. You can have a listen if you want. Oh yeah, also, on a flat engine, this is exaggerated. Just have a look at that exhaust mode. Yeah, that's kind of cool, but also kind of jank. Let's move on. We chose this body. The 2-meter long one is I believe the shortest one of this sort of body. Picked one that was mid-engine and really light because it's not like a Targa top or anything. And then kind of had fun with it. Just made the weirdest looking vehicle possible. And I had a whole thing about how I stole this from a guy, which made a vehicle for my weekly stream review thing. And it looked awesome. Also, I might point out here, these are 2 individual things snapped into the center for the exhaust pipes, and Automation knew to take each exhaust pipe and put them into a different one. It didn't used to work like that, but now it does, so that's really cool. Oh yeah, also, maybe a little bit hard to spot, but this is actually ever so slightly... Yeah, I've moved the wheels forward so then I could have a longer wheelbase. The reason I did this is because it maintains the weight of the shorter wheelbase vehicle, but allows me to have a longer wheelbase. I know, that's cheating, but I don't care. We're pulling out every single stop we've got here today. If it matters to you at all, we got an all-wheel drive and the hot lap that I'll show you. It does say here that my top speed is 399, but due to Automation's exporting proclivities, this is actually considerably less. It'll only export to about 350, so we lose about 50 kilometers an hour. Maybe about 60 even. And then just a whole bunch of regular sorts of things all the way through here, if this matters at all to you. And Automation says around the track, it'll do a 144.59. Well, now that we can take this over to BeamNG, we can find out whether this is true or not. I have to say, looking at this, oh, I love it. The low headlights, the bonnet scoop, the front splitter, it's all just fantastic. Now, the one thing I didn't say earlier is the reason why I wanted to make this specific one is to try to beat this record I made years ago. Now, I am using a shorter wheelbase, which should be faster. There are a few technicalities as to why this is a more challenging vehicle. See, the short wheelbase, which is why I went back and made the vehicle longer as you saw, is probably the biggest issue. 1, we can't fit a big engine in there, and 2, this thing just wants to turn around way too easily. After copious amounts of tuning though, we were able to get this really spot on, as good as I think this car could ever actually drive. Now, the Fs and Ss were not so bad. Here on the final big round one though, you're gonna have to be very late in the apex there, and then you gotta get a little bit of breakage to turn the car in, bringing it down here. You're gonna want to brake fairly early and then turn in super late, and there, that last curb
Silverstone, that third one, that's the one you're aiming for, and then smooth out there. Otherwise, this thing will drift super wide with the amount of power it has. Into the Cotswolds, you're gonna brake, you're gonna go wide, and then a late apex turn in. Then you're gonna want to change to fourth before the rubber tires there, and then there you have it, the back straight, and we're going to reach about 230 by the time we reach the slingshot with a little bit of wastage in speed there. Unfortunately, no lift though, and then braking at about 200 meters out going into Bavarian Bend, and then you're going to want to go late apex here, really late, the right at the end here of the rumble strip, and you can see here we are apexing ever so slightly just after it, but now we're coming down. We're going to be going into Gilrup chicane, brake just before the 100-meter board, smooth in. You got to take this one really smooth. Can't go into first, but then you power it out, point and squirt on the way out. Popsicle though, my lord, you have to apex this thing so late. In fact, you're not even really apexing it, you're just getting it lined up for Adam's apex, and going around 90 kilometers an hour through here, not bad. But now we gotta bring it down to Cossacks, more like ball sacks. I hate this corner so much. You can see here I'm going so easy and so smooth, just so that I can get lined up for Lamb's Hope, which is my least favorite corner. Can't accelerate too early on the X there, otherwise you'll hit the rumble strip and across the line. Yeah, we have beaten our previous record. Though I feel 3 seconds is not big of a jump. I reckon I can do a whole lot better. A future episode, maybe? Well, hit like and subscribe.
Well, there you have it. That is this car, and it is absolutely terrifying to drive. If this thing was to be actually driven in real life, it would not be allowed to race for very long. It would very quickly be taken out of any sort of racing circles. It is way too twitchy and way too touchy. If you're trying to push this thing, it's just going to absolutely murder you, because you'll just make a mistake once. You'll lose a little bit of concentration, you'll take a corner a little bit too eagerly into it, and you'll just die, unless you're doing what I'm doing right here, which is driving nice and slowly, you know, not even using a quarter throttle, to be honest. It's just, it looks really cool. In my opinion, this is one of my more favorite looks. I know, I get it. It's very weird looking and probably very divisive. A lot of you probably won't like it, and a lot of you probably will like it, hopefully. I personally, however, really love how this thing has turned out. Lots of little details on here that I just think work mostly. Like, this here doesn't work 100%, but I needed something. Unfortunately, that was as good as that one was gonna get. Rest of it's a bit peculiar things, like the interior. There was really only room for one massive race seat. And that's not scaled up at all, that is just the regular size. And I like the fact that it's got the little lights down here, but no lights up here. This is meant to be a resto mod recreation sort of thing, where they went to recreate it, except when they were making, I don't know what you would call it, like the kit car for it, they decided to make it their own. Keep all the quirks and stuff like that in it, but the rest of it, make it unique. So for now, everybody, I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.